podcast episode 11. Like it's like this is the second day of October, so any special topics we do are going to be very Halloween specific, as you can see behind me. If you want to listen to us in the like audio wise, you can just check out our podcast services in the description below. So let's get into introductions. So Dory, introduce yourself.
Hello, coming at you from the underworld of Tartarus. I'm Dory. I go by she/her, and you can find me on Twitter or in Tartarus at dclaire192.
James.
Hi, I'm James. You can find me at Untitled Smithy on Twitter.
Mitch.
Well, good day there, mate. I'm Mitch, and you can find me on Twitter at uneducatedpop.
And I'm Sebastian. You can follow me at littleseb93. All right, so let's start with the poll. James asked, "What games in October are you looking most forward to?" So, what was the results?
Yeah, so the options were Crash Bandicoot 4, Star Wars Squadrons, Watch Dogs Legion, and other. 27.3% of people said Crash Bandicoot 4. 40.9% of people said Star Wars Squadrons, 22.7% said Watch Dogs Legion, and 9.1% said other. Crash Bandicoot 4 and Star Wars Squadrons are, of course, out now, and the reviews looking pretty good.
Cool. And
I'm really surprised about the Star Wars Squadron stuff, because I said it last week, I wasn't expecting it to do that well, but I mean, they only got reviews out for the single player, I believe, and they got mostly around 7 and 8s. And so, yeah, I'm pretty surprised by how that turned out, not gonna lie.
I mean,
Definitely.
Go ahead.
Personally, I'm not really, the game I'm most excited for isn't any of these three. It's the game I'm most excited for is a game that I can't remember the name of right now.
So much for being excited about it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you must be really excited about them.
Is that one with the it's like Ghost Runner, that's what it's called.
Oh yeah.
Where you're sort of running about with a sword, and it's like you die in one hit and that sort of thing. It's kind of like,
yes.
I think when
Mirror's
it got
Edge,
revealed, when it got revealed, I said it was like a cross between Doom and Katana Zero, which I think still holds up. But yeah, I'm excited for that. It comes out at the end of the month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I'm kind of interested in, I don't know if it came out already or not, is that Cloudpunk game. It's like an indie Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
It looks really interesting.
That is already out on Steam.
Yeah, I saw it on the PlayStation Store, so I think it's either out or it's coming out like this week. But either way, in terms of Star Wars, I think EA's been on a roll lately with the IP after it was all doom and gloom like 2 years ago. Because they've nailed it. Battlefront 2, they turned it around, and this game getting good reviews, and the Jedi game was great, Fallen Order. So I think EA's been killing the IP so far.
Well, at first they were killing it, but now
they're killing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's I don't know like if I'm really excited for anything this year. I mean, this month, yeah,
it's kind of a slow month especially compared to November.
Yeah, I mean, I was expecting Crash to be good, but I just don't think it's $60 good. I mean, unless you're like,
it should have been $40 like Squadrons.
I agree, because unless you're somebody that likes to collect all the gems, like you're probably gonna beat the game in like 12 hours or something, and then I mean,
not even.
Not even. So you're probably gonna get bored if you're not interested in going back and speedrunning the levels and things like that.
I have heard that people in the Crash community and who are very
there's a Crash community.
Yeah, I'd say there is, but at least the few YouTubers who really like Crash have said that they really enjoyed it. So I'd say if you're a Crash fan, it'll satiate your taste. So definitely go out and buy it if that's your cup of tea.
Yeah, if it was $40, I would have bought it already. But $60 is asking too much for me personally.
Yeah, I'm excited for Squadrons. I mean, I'm definitely going to be getting that. Mildly excited, I guess. Not like over the moon excited, but I am looking forward to playing it. I've just been playing other things lately.
Yeah, I mean, $40 is a good price for Squadrons because $60 to me looks like too much for that game too. Because I heard the campaign's like pretty decent, but not like amazing.
It's 10 hours. It's only a 10-hour campaign as well. So.
And then the multiplayer, like it's probably fun for a few rounds, but it's not probably not something I can play like 8 hours all. You know what I mean? It's something I can just play for like 25 minutes or something. So
it doesn't seem to. It doesn't look. The multiplayer doesn't look like it'll have the same longevity that Battlefront 2 had. Debatably had.
Yeah.
So but yeah, like apparently there's no microtransactions at all either. So that's. I'm fairly surprised about that.
Not yet. Not yet.
Not yet.
That is true. That is true.
They could be going the Activision route of waiting till a month after launch and then put them in. Sneaky.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like, and also because it's like it looks like a simulator. You have to like really know the controls of the ship and stuff. You have to click buttons.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is pretty cool. So I'm interested in it, but I'm not like super excited. I'm not hyped. But all right, so what are we currently playing? Let's start with Mitch.
I'm currently the main thing I guess I'm currently playing is The Division 2, and I've also gone back into Far Cry 3, so I'm hoping to finish off the latter and start the former.
You're playing the remaster?
Yeah,
You're playing the remaster?
Yeah, the remaster of Far Cry 3. I got that on sale for like $5 a few months back, and I'm really enjoying it, not gonna lie. Like, I think there's some things about it that have faded, so they've aged not well. But I think I'm very surprised, especially like after playing Watch Dogs recently and then Far Cry 3 again. It's kind of sad seeing how far Ubisoft have fallen in like the single player story type of field, because I mean these are some pretty decent stories and seem to have some actual effort put into them, and then you look at Assassin's Creed Odyssey and all the stuff I have now, and there just doesn't seem to be that same passion behind it.
Sure.
So, yeah.
I do. They did. Yeah. I mean, they have, to their credit, they've changed stuff up marginally over the past few years. Assassin's Creed Origins was quite a departure from the one game before that. But yeah, I definitely see that criticism.
That's everything?
Yeah, that's everything for me.
All right, Dory, what are you currently playing?
Hey, I know y'all are probably tired of hearing about it, but I've been playing Hades. It's a really good game. What do you want me to say? Everyone's already said it already. But excellent game.
Do you guys know when it's coming out on PlayStation, or they haven't said yet, or is it even coming?
They haven't said yet. There's been interviews with the developers, and they have said that while they're not against it, they are trying to maintain constant support for the Switch and PC, and that's their focus right now.
Oh, so that's like that screams a year away.
Yeah, that screams a long time away. But I will pick it up once it comes out on PS4 as well.
Yeah.
Anywho, I've been playing Hades. I've been playing some Spiritfarer. I did a little bit of Tony Hawk the other night just for fun. I don't think anything else. My PS4 has been kind of mostly used for YouTube and entertainment and stuff lately, so I've been using it for that, but nothing. Squadrons will be coming up soon, basically. Yep.
That's everything?
I believe so.
Okay. James?
Not a lot of new stuff for me. What I've been playing most this week is I've been playing a lot of Judgment.
Okay.
Which is
it's a good game.
Yakuza spin-off, yeah. I've never played any of the mainline Yakuza games.
Really?
So yeah, I figured Judgment would be a really good jumping on point. So I picked it up some point last year and then sort of fell off it because I think other stuff must have come up. But yeah, I got back on it and hoping to finish it this time. I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah.
It's kind of with games like that, I have a hard time sort of not getting distracted by like my phone and stuff and staying like getting sort of invested in it. But yeah, no, it's like it's a fun game. It's a really fun game. It's quite different from the sort of stuff that I've usually played. But yeah, I'm enjoying it quite a lot, despite the fact that it's maybe not the best to keep my attention.
Like, yeah, if that game struggles to keep your attention, then you might not like the other Yakuza games because they're pretty much the same. They're very story heavy and dialogue heavy, but the main series is a little more over the top compared to That one's more grounded a little bit more, even though it's not. But
Yeah, for sure. So that's one of my favorite things about it, I think, is like that mix, because they sort of inject a lot of weird stuff in there, even though it is more grounded than the main games supposedly. But that's one of my favorite things is when you've got like some like they really over exaggerate like the facial animations and the camera movements and that sort of thing, and
it's the same way.
Quite funny all the time.
Yeah, the whole series is like that. But
yeah, I've never played any of the Yakuza games either, although I've been tempted to. So Yakuza 0 was on sale for a while, I think because of the Big in Japan sale.
Yeah.
I was very tempted to get that, but I ended up not.
Yeah, James, if you could, the first 3 games, 0, 1, and 2 are usually pretty dirt cheap now, and it's on Game Pass. So
yeah, I definitely plan to check them out once I finish Judgment, if I find the time, because it's quite intimidating with 6 games to get through. 7 games if you count 0, I guess.
Yeah, just do what I do. Like I haven't beaten them all. I beat the first. I beat Judgment, and I beat 0, 1, and 2, and I play them like every 5 months. So like I don't, because if I play them all in a row, I'd probably burn myself out really quick.
Yeah, I can see that.
But I definitely recommend that series. It's a great series. I don't know if it's niche anymore, because now that Xbox has it on Game Pass and they've hyped it up and it's on PC now. It used to be a very niche PlayStation exclusive series.
Well, I think around the time Yakuza 6 came out is when it sort of blew up.
Yeah.
In the West, so
yeah.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
I'd say at the same time though, it's like still, even if it's like, gotten more popular with how it's been promoted across, gaming and all that, I'd say it's still a fairly niche title with just its tone and some of the wacky shit that happens. So it's it's not going to be like a Rick and Morty situation where it becomes so overpopular that it
No. It's not like super niche anymore, but it's not that popular either. It's still pretty. But
you could still talk to random people, and there's still a decent chance they might not know what the Yakuza
probably
series
haven't.
is, or
No.
Yeah.
And it's old. It's been around since like the PS2 days. So all those games are all remakes and remasters.
Yeah.
Only 6 is on it, like brand new in Judgment. And there's a new one coming out.
Is 6 the turn-based one, or is that?
No. 7 is the turn-based one that's coming out soon. It's already out in Japan.
Correct.
Which has a new story, so that might also be a good jumping in point as well, because it's new characters and everything, a new story.
But I really recommend getting into the old ones, because I think the characters in those games are fantastic. If you like Mafia and you like the characters in that, it's basically the same thing. Judgment's a little more cop heavy, like it's focused on the police and investigating. But in Yakuza is obviously focused on the gangsters and stuff like that. So
I like that.
Yeah.
All right, and then what am I playing? I beat Mafia. I played Madden. I played a little of Call of Duty. I'm at 92%, level 49. I'm like right there to getting 50. Maybe tonight. I really want to get to 50. That was my goal for this year. So I'm like right there. I played a little indie game yesterday or something. It was like I got like platinum, so I think I got 230 platinums now.
Jesus Christ.
All right. I think that's it. I haven't really played anything this week.
Yeah, Seb's really slacking on the gaming, as we can see.
I am, but I'll get it. Like once November comes, I'm gonna be gaming like 12 hours a day probably. I'm kind of saving myself for that. Yeah. Anyway, so let's get into the topics. So, Vampyr and Need for Speed Payback is coming out. They're the Plus games for October. Are you guys excited about these games, or is it kind of a meh month?
I'm excited for Vampyr.
Yeah.
I'm excited for Vampyr. I could never commit to buying it because it like got middling to above average reviews at the time. I've seen the Let's Play of it, so I kind of already knew what it was about and kind of where it can go.
Yeah.
And like the combat just didn't seem that great, but the story and the voice acting, writing, and stuff seemed great. So for free, I'll definitely. I mean, obviously with the PS Plus, but I mean, like that's basically what, like $10. That's a pretty good deal. And so I might as well get some use out of it. Plus, it's spoopy month, so might as well.
Yeah, I already have it, but I haven't played it yet, so it's kind of. I might just trade it in and get like $7 out of it, or something.
I'm actually more excited for Need for Speed myself because I've wanted like a Need for Speed game on my PlayStation just to pick up and play as a sort of arcade racer for ages, and I haven't committed to buying one. So that works for me pretty well because I bought Need for Speed Heat not long after it came out, and I never do this, but I traded it in like immediately after I bought it because I was so disappointed. It was honestly, I thought it was awful. It was terrible.
Oh man, if you were disappointed in Heat, you're gonna loathe Payback. That is.
So it's not good.
The weird thing is, I really enjoyed the Need for Speed reboot in 2015.
So
yeah.
So Payback's not good.
For Need for Speed Heat, like sort of. For Need for Speed Heat, they sort of ruined. I don't know if they ruined. They sort of the driving mechanics. They feel different, at least to what I remember the reboots being. So yeah, I wasn't a fan of that. That was the main thing. That was my main criticism of it, was how it felt.
Yeah, with Payback, the main two things is that everything to do with the story, so like the acting, the writing, the performances, I already said acting, that's all terrible. Like, it's trying to be a cheap imitation of the Fast and Furious movies, but it does it with none of the like charisma or anything, or like self-awareness of those movies.
Is it about is it about family?
Well, I mean, somewhat. From what I remember, like I didn't even finish it. I think I got past the E3 demo with the truck convoy or whatever that they kept showing, and I had to put it down after that because I can't do it anymore. But so yeah, you have the story, and then you also have the progression, which is literally just RNG based. Like, you have to grind to get possible cards that can upgrade different parts, and it's all loot based. And yeah, it's not.
I would have thought they would have reworked that.
No, as far as I can tell, they haven't. No, they just kind of published the game and then went, yeah, okay, done. I think they might have given it like one DLC, but other than that, yeah, no.
So it's not even worth trying, or?
No, it's definitely worth trying, because you might get into it. And I think the driving's fun. Of course, it's a Need for Speed game.
Yeah.
But the game surrounding it is not great. Vampyr, though, on the other hand, I tried it with Xbox Game Pass. I couldn't get into it on there, but I'm hoping to get into it on the PS4 because, from what I've heard, I'm a big fan of the story and whatnot, and what I've heard of the soundtrack and how it uses strings and stuff is, it's good. I'm excited for that one. Not so much for Payback though.
Yeah, because the reaction to the announcement has been pretty mixed. Some people think it's a horrible one, and other people are feel like pretty mad about it.
I've definitely seen worse. Yeah. I mean, like, there's no way I would have touched Pez, right?
It's not as bad as last month. Last month again? PUBG, and it was Street Fighter. Street Fighter. Yeah. I didn't even touch those, not once. So.
Oh no, neither.
I didn't touch PUBG, but I gave Street Fighter a try for like 5 minutes.
So now. Yeah. So like I told James, I thought it was going to be the that other game. What do you call it?
The Dark Pictures.
Yeah, the Dark Pictures anthology. Because the sequel's coming out.
Medan,
yeah, Medan. Because the sequel's coming out this month that I'm gonna get. I was like, this is a good time to just. That game's always on sale for like $10-15, so you might as well just make it free. Yeah, Vampyr is kind of I don't want to say it's a weak one. It's just that game's always in a bargain bin, and it's like on Game Pass. So people.
It's not like I'd say it's close to a cult classic, if anything. Like, it's a AA game for sure.
Yeah.
It's one of those games where it's like it's got a pretty devout fan base. Like, not one that'll discuss it not one that'll have channels dedicated to it, but it's like, if you mention the game to certain people, they gush over it, I'm sure.
Yeah, because I'm struggling I'm trying to find some horror games to play this month, and I'm like, I either played them already or it's like I don't feel like playing like I don't like first person games where you have to hide like Outlast or something. Yeah, it's not just so I'm kind of like on the fence of what to do, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Anyway, so speaking about horror, they showed Call of Duty showed the zombie mode, like the zombies. Did you guys watch that at all?
Oh yeah, I watched that
Yeah.
one.
So can you guys like? I didn't. I kind of fast forward through it. I'm not really interested in it, but so you guys like you can carry this topic.
Yeah, I mean, the main thing that jumped out to me, the main thing that jumped out to me about it was out of like it's sort of a bit of a specific thing, but like they said on the where they had the video where they had the developers talking about it, they were talking about this sort of this new extraction deal where you at the end of a round, because usually in zombies, what you can only end the round by dying. You can only end the game by dying. So what they've done is in this new one, you can like call in a helicopter or something to extract you, and then you have to wait a couple rounds and survive while the helicopter comes in, and you can end the game that way, which I think is a really neat idea. Like most of the things that they add in to zombies these days, I think it's a bit, it's a bit weak. It's a bit like they're just adding fluff. It doesn't feel sort of necessary, but this feels like a nice change, you know?
Well, you already took my main talking point, so I think I will say the last zombies mode I was legitimately interested in and had any investment in was, weirdly enough, the World War II zombies mode.
Right.
Whether or not it was because it had, David Tennant and whatnot in it is anyone's guess. But but no, I think it's just like the tone and vibe of the at least the first map and the second the short map or whatever. Yeah,
they kind of leaned into that horror thing.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's what drew me to it, is because it felt, it, even though the horror stuff it didn't land terrifically well, it still had a distinct tone that was, leaning very much into horror. Whereas the rest have really, we've had Infinite Warfare with their A zombies mode, which obviously didn't take itself too seriously, and then you had the Black Ops 4 one where they were on the Titanic and in the Coliseum and all this stuff.
I always complain that they lean into zombies too much and they put it in every game and stuff. But at the same time, like, it is kind of a staple at this point, like multiplayer or the campaign. So I can't really blame them. With this one, it seems like at least it seems right now. I don't know if it's the case, but it seems like they're sort of going back to basics and removing a lot of fluff.
Because I think with Black Ops 4, I think they tried to entice people in by doing the wackiest shit possible. Like, oh, what if we have, our characters in a gladiator match, except they still have guns just as normal, so nothing really changes there. Or on the Titanic, or I think there was a third map on BO4's release that I forget about. I think it was a remaster or whatever of the other map or something. But none of them were that enticing, really, at least for me. Yeah.
Well, with Black Ops 3 and stuff, right? Yeah. My main issue has always been because I haven't really enjoyed zombies, I think, since the original Black Ops. With the exception of World War II that I played a bit of, but with the original Black Ops, after the original Black Ops, I think they started doing the Easter eggs. They started putting them at the forefront, which I was never a fan of, because I always liked how the Easter eggs were sort of hidden and you had to go looking for them, and there were these things like you had to go knife a wee radio that was hidden in some corner of the map and that sort of thing. But then they started
Easter eggs.
They were Easter eggs, and then they started putting them there's a totem in the middle of the map that dispenses MacGuffins that you need to go and collect 5 of or whatever and put them in some special bath, or I don't know. But they was sort of, it felt like, okay, here's this stuff, what am I supposed to do with it? What is part of the Easter egg and what is essential to the map? So if they're sort of getting rid of all that stuff, I'll be a happy camper.
I think I'm kind of the opposite, where I enjoyed a big part of the reason why I enjoyed World War II and why I actually stuck with it is that it was more, I guess you could say, welcoming to players who can't and don't necessarily have the time or ability to go finding all those Easter eggs. Like, they made it just a bit more accessible if you wanted to find it. So yeah, I appreciate World War II for that, because actually, it didn't tell you what to do necessarily, but it kind of like assisted you if you were stuck at any possible chance. But yeah, I'm not. I hesitate to say that I'm excited for this one, but like, I'm interested to see how it goes, if anything.
Yeah, I think they didn't show that much. We don't know what it's going to be like, really. From what they did show, it looks pretty fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks fun. I think it's probably like the one thing that actually made me consider maybe I will buy Cold War after all is the fact that they've said that, really the first time ever that all the zombies maps and stuff are going to be free.
Right.
Because of their new model. And it's because before, everything was obviously like locked behind a season pass. But now that, not everyone's going to be gated off of the new zombies content, it's like, actually, okay, I might have some incentive to pick Cold War up on sale or something just to try out the zombies.
Yeah. The one thing that jumped out to me as well from that trailer is they had a really weird remix of Tainted Love.
Yeah.
It felt kind of out of place to me, that. I don't know about you.
Yeah, the editing on that song wasn't too good, but I just really like that song, so I didn't really mind. I sung along. I won't even lie.
Yeah.
I mean, that song's so good. That's all I have to contribute.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah,
That
same.
It's a great song. I'm not sure it contributed to the tone of the trailer particularly well, but yeah.
No, well, because, for the reveal trailer, they had Cold Monday, and they did a pretty banging remix of that, I think. Oh, Blue Monday, not Cold Monday, Blue Monday. And a really good remix of that, so I guess it's just what they're doing with their marketing now, is that, okay, let's find, like a really niche song from the 70s or 80s, and then just, not niche, let's just find a song from the 70s or 80s and just, put it in our trailers and add, make it go in sync with the,
Yeah, I guess that doesn't make sense, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
Anyway, Seb, we're done. We're done talking.
Yeah.
You can
It only took 20 minutes of my life that I'll never get back.
Wow, dude.
That I'll never get back. All right.
Talk about our conversations were amazing.
All right. Speaking of Yakuza, the new one, Like a Dragon, it is coming to PS5, but it's not coming into PS5 until March. But it is coming to PS4 on November 10th. So it's coming to the PS5. The saves don't carry over to the PS5 version, and it's kind of weird, I guess, that it's coming out on PS5 in March. So I'll probably wait until then to do that. March 2nd, to be clear. This is the first strategy version, strategy game in the series. It's usually like a beat 'em up. You do combos and stuff.
It's like turn-based combat now, right?
Yeah, so
yeah.
Yeah, it was funny because I believe the original trailer was released on April 1st, and so a lot of people thought it was a parody or a spoof.
Yeah.
But the developers had to clarify that this was the real deal.
Well, it's not a bad idea to try something new, because the series is over now.
Yeah, it's been a beat 'em up for a long time now, so it's good to change tactics.
Yeah, 6 was Kiru's final game, I think. So
yeah,
good to go in a new direction. That's pretty much it. Do you guys have anything more to add about that? Are you guys excited for this game, or not excited, but you guys interested?
I will give it a shot when it's on sale.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm with James on that
so
one.
So my question though is, it's gonna be $70 in March. That would be ridiculous. I would keep it $60.
I don't know. That's their call, right? That's the publisher's call. So
I guess, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's
that would
annoying. Yeah.
If that's $70, that would be a big middle finger to PlayStation 5 owners. Because it's coming to Xbox One and the Series X and the Series S in November.
Yeah.
So it's Anyway, all right. Next topic. So we got like deluxe editions of Demon Souls and Sackboy and Destruction All Stars and Godfall. But the big story to me is these deluxe editions are gonna be $90. Like, would you pay $90 for like Demon
that's
Souls?
like that's usually that's the regular markup, isn't it? It's just the fact that the base price
$20,
now is higher. So I mean, it does feel like a gigantic kick in the nuts. I don't know how I feel about that, to be honest.
$90 is absurd.
I mean, it's optional, right? Like, you don't have to. It's just some in-game cosmetics and stuff. I mean, I'm not really that interested in that myself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think the problem with the whole it's optional thing is that, especially collectors and people who want to keep up with the game or feel like they're part of the community or they're on the up and up. Like, there's all this social pressure to have the most up to date and highest stuff. It's like bragging and stuff. I don't know. I think that's like not great, but it is.
What you talking about there? I'll just.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, you're totally right. It is. Donate cave to peer pressure and buy all the collector's stuff. I'll just.
That James carefully blocks what's behind him. I don't want to. I'm definitely not saying that stuff is inherently to collecting stuff or whatever is inherently wrong. Just that some of the I think that it's catering to I don't know, toxic elements within gaming that people should, I don't know, the charging $90 is just
absurd.
It's absurd. Yeah,
that's so ridiculous. It's almost $100 for a game.
Well, imagine going from $100 Australian to $130 Australian as a base price, and then most likely having all of your deluxe editions being at least $160.
Yeah,
that is.
Ouch.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
I'm not even looking forward to $70. Never mind $120.
Yeah.
I think I would just stop buying new games at that point, Mitch.
I think I would quit gaming.
Like
I would start reading books.
Yeah, I might get back into reading
books.
I have actually been Stephen King. But no, it's like because I like buying the deluxe editions for game, like for PlayStation exclusives, like Last of Us, God of War. Like, I've done that, but then it's like I can in no way justify spending $160 on a soundtrack and a theme and maybe a couple of avatars. Like $30, like $15 is fine. $30 is.
Do you know what? I don't know if we might have covered this in a previous week, but just like I imagine that this is just either supply and demand, or they're trying to mark up the prices to recoup the loss they're presumably making on the console. So I can't imagine that the prices won't go back down, at least to an extent.
Yeah.
Right.
Part of me.
Sure, but at the same time, if they don't, then it still sucks. And in the time that they are at least, $70 US, it'll still suck for, people who can't justify spending, $70 or $90 on a brand new game.
I know games are more expensive to make nowadays, but I'm not sure I really buy that it has to go up in price to make up the difference. I don't really buy that. Yeah, these companies make tons of money. I'm not really buying that at all.
It's not sustainable. Like, on some level, like some of the ways. I'm not talking about all video game companies, but some of the ways that these companies just dump millions and millions upon dollars into their video games, and then like kind of lobby, not politically lobby, but lobby Sony or whoever to make games more expensive. Like, you're just not going to keep up with those costs. And honestly, even if you are, like, it's not. It doesn't really help the company. Like, it either isn't helping the company because they have to keep pushing up and up, or like they're doing something wrong by constantly pushing millions of dollars into a project.
Right. And the worst case here though is Destruction All Stars. You can't sell a new IP that's multiplayer for $70 and then have the audacity to have microtransactions. The deluxe edition gives you like currency. It has microtransactions. Unbelievable.
I was gonna say, for a game that looks the way it does,
Yeah.
like brand new IP, it's multiplayer. Like it looks like a free-to-play game, really.
It
like
does.
That's the impression I got from it. Like it's either gonna be free-to-play, or it's gonna be like $30.
And they haven't even shown it. We've gotten no gameplay. We've gotten a trailer and that's it.
Yeah, I think what the gist of the gameplay is, from what I've seen, is like it's like a destruction derby type game.
Right. You can run around.
You can also get out of your cars.
Yeah. I get that, but there's no demo, like nothing. $70. Yeah.
I can't understand why there's no public demo, seeing as it's built for PS5 hardware, but it's like.
Well,
yeah.
Well, you guys know the answer why it's that much money. Because it's a launch game. People are looking for something to buy.
But I think.
I was gonna say corporate greed, but sure.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's like I'd say people would be more reasonable. Like I would be, I'd be more inclined to, at least consider buying it if it was half price. Like, like they need to balance it at launch library. Like they can't have every single game be $70 because that's not sustainable. As
I'd gladly play $70 for like God of War 2 or Last of Us Part 3 or something, if there was something like that. You know what I mean? I wouldn't. These kind of games, you're setting your studio up to fail here, because that game's gonna bomb. I think. I don't see people, because the PS5 is $500 and then Miles Morales comes out and Demon Souls. People are gonna have to pick and choose. They're not picking Destruction All Stars. I'm sorry, they're not.
That game's gonna get buried almost immediately.
People even pick a Godfall over it.
Yeah, I'd buy Godfall. I mean, I was already gonna buy Godfall anyways, but I'd still buy Godfall over it in a heartbeat.
Exactly.
Because Godfall actually looks like it has, some length to it other than a multiplayer game for $70. Also, who pays $70 for exclusively multiplayer games anymore?
Exactly.
Like maybe outside Call of Duty, who spends that much for player games. Yeah,
I mean, in today's age with microtransactions and services and all that, this game is not worth $200. That's probably gonna add up to.
Yeah, well, I mean, actually, that kind of reminds me of the point I was going to make earlier.
Yeah.
I think the reason, part of the reason they've marked it up to $70 is that they would rather, if it's really about getting the money back, they'd rather just mark up the sale price.
Yeah.
Rather than put microtransactions in their games more to make back the cost that way, because even if the microtransactions aren't that invasive, bad, people are still going to complain about it.
Of course.
It's it's the devil, whatever. Like, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of microtransactions either, but it's like there's some cases, like there's some people who immediately see the word microtransaction and go like, nah, okay, this game's immediately, like they have off of it.
Yeah. Me, I hate microtransactions.
Yeah, but it's like not all of them have to be invasive and offensive in the way that Star Wars Battlefront 2 at launch was, or
no.
I'm sure there was a game that had microtransactions.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just a bad look. It's just a bad look to be $70 full price and then have microtransactions. Like if it's a free to play game, I can understand. That's different. But a full price game, kiss my ass.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think I'd rather watch Ernest Scared Stupid again than pay $70 for PlayStation All Stars. Like, good lord.
I agree.
$70.
Yeah. So, yeah. I got a bad feeling. I really hope Sony doesn't. They're leaving some of these games out to dry, and this game would have been better as $30-$40. I think people would have gave it more of a chance. I think this game's gonna bomb. It's gonna bomb.
I guess early prediction, but I'm expecting this to be on the PS Plus lineup in about a year's time.
Yeah, I guarantee you. I guarantee you.
He'll be there. What's it called? It'll be Detroit Become Human.
You raise an interesting point though, right? Like, what are they gonna do for PlayStation Plus? For the first few months of the first year, when they don't have many games on PS5, are they just gonna do PS4 games backwards compatibility?
I'd say so.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't have any PS5. I mean, what do they do for the PS4? I'm wondering.
I don't know. Well, because they didn't do backwards compatibility for the PS4.
What do you,
Yeah, so did they just...
I imagine, like, I don't remember entirely, but I imagine they probably just didn't give any games for that first year.
Well, we got Resogun day one. That was my first game.
Yeah, I was going to say, like...
That game was a masterpiece. That was a plus game for free.
Housemarque's doing Returnal as well, right? So
Yeah.
that's also something to look out for. But, like, I'd say they would have just had games that have been like built from scratch to be PS Plus, you know, like Resogun, like
I don't
like
think they're gonna put that much effort into
No, they're not.
Like, I don't think they would go so far as to make games specifically for PS Plus.
No. Well, I mean, I'd say, like, as you said, they've got backwards compatibility, so they don't really have to worry about that as much.
Yeah.
You know, like, at least for the first year, they can go, or the first year or two, they can go, okay, well, we'll just give you more PS4 titles, and then eventually, once we build up, start giving you actual PS5.
Yeah. So I think we pretty much nailed this. We got to start moving on. So let's get into the Cyberpunk 2077 controversy with the crunch. So basically,
yes.
Jason Schreier came out on Twitter and basically called them out for their crunch culture, and then the CD Red's kind of been on like the defensive. So I'll let Dory kick this off because she got a lot to say about this.
Yeah. So I watched an IGN video about this. You know, the whole thing with Cyberpunk. I've never been a big CD Projekt Red fan. You know, full cards on the table there. Not that I've necessarily had a reason to dislike them, but I just never got into The Witcher, never got into any of their other games. And I wasn't super hyped on Cyberpunk either. And one of the reasons was definitely crunch, which I don't support, and I don't like its presence in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I bought Last of Us Part 2, and that's only because I dearly love that series, and I felt conflicted about it as was. But the story is basically this, that they had, CD Projekt Red had said initially that they will not, I can't remember the exact wording, but it's something like, we will not pursue crunch, or it's not that we won't do it, but that we will try to avoid it, or something like that.
It wasn't mandatory, they said, right?
Yeah, it was a very wishy-washy corporate statement, like, we're going to try to avoid crunch at all costs.
Yeah.
And so, what's that, Mitch?
Oh, so basically just to keep up that good guy CD Projekt Red image, basically.
Right.
Yeah,
we don't want to do it, but we're just going to leave the door open in case we have to, in quotation marks.
Exactly, yeah. And so now they're saying that because they're in the last 6 weeks or whatever, you know, and all their employees have spent years on it, that it's totally okay that they're now doing crunch, and everybody's fine with it, of course, and they're being well compensated, as if getting more money means the time that you're spending away from your family and from your, you know, and that when it impacts your well-being is just cushioned by the fact that you have more money. Like, at a certain point, you know, money just doesn't help you in terms of happiness or in terms of like providing your basic needs. But anyway, so it's just a frustrating situation. You know, I do understand about how the way the industry works, and I understand that CD Projekt Red is probably in a difficult place right now, and that they probably, I feel like there's probably at least some interest in delaying the game, but they just can't do that from a PR perspective. So instead, they're crunching hard.
I'd say
I get that.
I'd say they can't delay it from a business perspective also, because like November 19th is really the last chance you can, you know, publish a game like this without, you know, going into December or something. And, you know, because like if they release it in December or something, they'd be losing out on day one sales, because a lot of people would be going,
oh no,
well, I could just wait till Christmas.
Yeah, it's not coming out. If it gets delayed, it's not coming out in December. Like you said, everybody already spent their money. Everybody's done, broke. Everybody's broke.
And I mean, they have shareholders as well to please. I imagine those guys would be annoyed if they delayed it again.
Yeah.
It's the same reason why, you know, Activision or whatever can't have a year without Call of Duties, because their whole business model has revolved so heavily and is so dependent on that yearly release and that yearly, huge uptick in sales because of Call of Duty. So if they, it's not like Assassin's Creed where they can go without a game for a year. Like Call of Duty is basically an annual staple, and if you lose out on that, they lose out big time on profits and whatnot.
Yeah,
Right.
and just to play devil's advocate a little bit, because I think that, like, maybe this is just me sort of giving them the benefit of the doubt when they don't deserve it, but it seems, at least from the outside, that they've made some effort to avoid this, because and I know that's like there's like I know well intentions and everything are not that important, but it seems as though they have made an effort, because they delayed it multiple times. And they came out. They did come out with that big PR thing saying, "Oh, we're going to try and avoid crunch," which I get. I know that was probably just a PR thing, and they probably had different plans or whatever. But I mean, I feel like we don't, from the outside, we maybe don't have all the information as to to how hard they tried to avoid this.
Here's my concern though. Is this game too ambitious? Because as much as I love The Witcher, they're going all in on this game, and they're everything's detailed, like every dialogue, character, the city, everything, and it's like, is this game even gonna live up to the hype? I mean, because CD Projekt Red is on the level of like Naughty Dog. If Last of Us disappoints, it's like a disaster, like PR wise.
Well, I mean,
if Cyberpunk is like it gets a below a 90 on Metacritic, that's a disaster for them. Like this game is so hyped.
That's the thing, like, because I think someone last week mentioned up the fact that, like, say, oh, yes, if Cyberpunk gets, like, the 96 and all that, I'm like, I don't get a 96 at all, because there'll for sure be people who find issues with it or have disappointments. Like, I'm not expecting this to be a game at all. Like business, like, inner business politics aside, as a game, I'm sure that there will be holes in it. Like, there's no way.
I'm a little concerned about the gameplay, the first person shooting and stuff. It doesn't really look that. It doesn't look amazing. It looks okay. Not like Doom Eternal of like fluid.
Well, I mean, how was the combat in Witcher 3? Like, was that amazing?
Well, that's
no, that was the worst part of the game.
That's also apples and oranges, because that's third person combat.
Of course.
Like in terms of gameplay feel, just like
right. But the point is, we give them a pass because the story and the writing's so good and the characters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
it just depends on.
Back like to my point that I was making earlier as well. We're talking there about mandatory crunch, and the other thing you have to consider is that there's a whole culture in that studio of crunch, and it's like, even if it's not mandatory, it's kind of an expectation.
Yeah.
And that is a problem.
Yeah.
So that's not not what the news is about, but that is something that maybe needs more consideration. I'm
in the middle, I guess. Crunch is just part of the industry. It really is, and it's just gonna happen. Yeah, I don't like. I like, as long as it's not like mandatory, I'm cool. But like, it's like, you feel like it's really demanding and it's not part of your contract, and like all of a sudden they just drop this on you all of a sudden.
The thing is, right? Even if it's not mandatory, like, there could be like a situation where somebody wants a promotion, right?
Yeah.
Or they want to move up the ladder in the company, and they can't do that if they're not willing to put in the extra hours like everyone else is, because then they're seen as not a team player. So like that sort of ideology and that culture, that is where a large part of the problem lies.
Yeah.
So even if it's not mandatory, it can still be bad. I'm sort of of the same opinion, where there's always going to be crunch.
Yeah.
And like there's going to be situations where it's unavoidable.
Right.
But I think in our industry, it's a lot worse than it has to be.
Oh yeah.
I think something I haven't heard a lot of people bring up is the fact that, like, irrelevant of the fact that this game's been in development for yonks and ages.
7 years.
Yeah, 7 years. I'd say COVID would have at least affected some part of their development, like as with every game.
Yeah,
So
I'm
I don't
worried.
want to necessarily. I don't necessarily want to point the finger to say like, oh, COVID is the reason why they're doing crunch.
No,
because
they've been working on it for too long now. It's not crunch.
Yeah, exactly.
Pandemic's that's just a excuse
the thing
at
is,
this point.
they've only really been working on it, I believe, since The Witcher 3 came out, because the reason they put out
Yeah.
the reason they put out that initial launch trailer was because they needed to attract talent to the studio to work on The Witcher 3,
Yeah.
but they weren't ready to announce The Witcher 3 yet, so they couldn't put out a trailer for that.
Well, I mean,
So they weren't actually working on it like full scale at that point.
yeah, but that was 5 years ago though. So
Yeah, I know.
No, that was
five years.
Or are we talking about the trailer of Witcher 3?
The trailer was 2013, but The Witcher 3, when I believe they started around then, they started working on this properly. It was about 5 years ago, but 5 years ago feels 5 years ago feels pretty standard for AAA game of that scale at this point. Because I mean, God of War was 5 years.
no, it is the standard. It's just, I mean, they started working this game on because Witcher came out in 2015, so they probably started working on this game in 2014, like a little bit. They probably started planning things out and stuff. But
something I find really frustrating about this, and when I watched the IGN video, there are a lot of comments defending, just straight up defending. Like there's not a lot of nuance defending CD Projekt Red. Like people are like, oh my god, like IGN is surprised that overtime is a thing. Like it's not about overtime. Like this is seriously like taking away huge amounts of people's time from their life so they can work on a video game. Like video games are important, but they're not more important than people's lives, their health, their family. Like overtime is one thing, but like crunch is another. Like the way crunch works is it should not be seen as synonymous with overtime.
Yeah, my issue is as long as they're told beforehand, I'm fine with it. But if they just drop it on you randomly, oh, by the way, you got to stay here more. Yeah, I'm not. That's pretty shitty.
Even then, it's like overtime's like like a few hours usually, not like an entire work day extra.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like crunch goes on for years sometimes.
Yeah.
So
well,
it
crunch
varies.
Isn't like even just the act of working endlessly on a video game. It's also just like the mindset that has to go into that, like the mental exhaustion that would go into. Like they would, I mean, like we've seen cases like with games like Anthem and whatnot. Like crunch can literally break people.
Of course.
Like, I don't think I hope to God at least that like this game's crunch cycle won't be as terrible as Anthem. But it's like there's been cases and precedent in the industry that it has literally not. It's hurt people mentally and physically as well.
I mean, to Dory's point as well, like it doesn't help that CD Projekt is seen as this sort of crown jewel of the industry who can do no wrong.
Exactly.
And like people will defend them even when they do stuff like this.
It's true.
Because that must give the studio the impression that they can get away with this sort of stuff.
It's a tricky situation because who are the three biggest like well-respected developers in the industry right now? Rockstar, Naughty Dog, and CD Projekt Red. What all three of them have in common? They had a crunch controversy before the games came out, and then what happened? All those games came out, and what happened? They were Game of the Years. I think everybody's right in a way, you know what I mean? And it's just one of those things. It's like there's no good answer.
And that's the thing. Like it would be so much easier if that wall wasn't there and we could see for ourselves. Yeah. Because then it would be, if we could see for ourselves, it wouldn't happen as much because all eyes would be on the studios. We would be able to see what's happening over there, and they wouldn't do bad shit like this.
Of course. But at the end of the day, though, these companies are not your best friend. Don't fall for the PR that they love everybody. They're great. They treat everybody great. Like CD Projekt Red loves to pull the whole I'm everybody's best friend. I'm the best company around. They're just like anyone else. They want to make money, and that's the end of the day. Nintendo, Microsoft, Sony, they're all the same. Treat them objectively. Go ahead.
Yeah, like I think before this whole controversy came out, I think everyone was like very much riding that good guy CD Projekt Red train.
Exactly.
Like everyone was like, definitely had that mindset of like, oh, they're like, they're like one of the best, AAA studios out there, and
Exactly.
they can do no wrong. And then it's like this comes out, and it's like that facade is starting to break. Like, I mean, like I'm not throwing doubt or shade on the quality of the game they can make, but it's like
Right.
they're. I think the worst thing for CD Projekt Red is that even though they sort of gave themselves an out in their initial statement, I think the fact that they let's just put it this way, like in this industry, even if you say we try not to pursue crunch, people are still going to take that as okay, they're not going to do it. Like they're going to take
Oh yeah.
a statement. And then obviously when they go back on that statement, and make it mandatory for 6 days a week, that's where a lot of the problems come.
Of course.
Because
And
now
that's the thing, like,
sort of caught out on your thing, yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
like I don't think it's as black and white as like
No.
the PR that they put out, or just don't believe that PR or anything like that. I think like the PR is to like they want that image of being everyone's favorite development studio, and then on the other side, like they are like I think they are genuinely trying to please their audience, but at the same time they also have shareholders that they need to please, and that's why stuff like crunch unnecessary.
Exactly.
Crunch like that happens,
Yeah, treat them like
So-
companies. That's all I'm saying. Don't treat them like like they're your best friend and they have your interests at heart. At the end of the day, they're a company. It's just that simple. The dollar is the bottom line, and it always will be. And I know that sounds negative, but it's just the reality of it. And no, I'm not saying they're good with their fans and everything. I think they're great with their fans. They've done a lot of good things. I mean, a lot recently it's been kind of shitty, but
but that's the thing. That's my point as well. It's like there's more than just a few people at that company. There's a lot of like it's majorly made up of developers who care about the product and want to make a great piece of art.
mhm.
And then you have things like shareholders,
Of course.
and higher ups that have all these sort of boxes they need to check, and
Exactly.
these people they need to keep happy. So
This is why you don't fanboy for companies and you don't fanboy for games. And like I know there's people that blindly defend Rockstar, and there's people that blindly defend Naughty Dog, and there's people that blindly defend CD Projekt Red. You gotta be objective. I gotta start wrapping this up. But basically, it's a multi-layered issue. There's no perfect answer. I think people kind of make it so simple, like, oh, crunch is automatically just awful, and we have to get rid of it. And I just don't think that's realistic in the industry. But at the same time, you gotta treat your employees a lot better, and you gotta make sure on the contract that it's optional and not like mandatory. And if it is mandatory, well, compensate them. I mean, that's just so simple as I can make it. But like I said, there's no perfect answer to this. So, all right, so we gotta start moving on because we're heading into an hour now. So that was a good 20-minute discussion about that one. I knew that one was gonna be the longest one. So the PS5 features possibly have leaked in a web code. So I'm gonna read them all out. So apparently it has a boost mode. Apparently this says PS5 boost mode enabled. So apparently there could be a boost mode.
Like a performance thing, or
We don't know yet. That's just what was leaked. Yeah. And then it says force vibration or adaptive triggers. We knew that. It says console sharing. If the console sharing and offline play setting is enabled for your PS5, players aged 18 and up who aren't PS Now subscribers will be able to play PS Now games from the game's shortcut icon displayed on the PS5 home screen, as well as in the PS Now app. So that's how you share. And then this is in quotes: message and voice chat with friends across PS4, PS5, and the PlayStation app, so you can talk to your friends on PS4.
I imagine that would be the case because they've got like they do have a party app on the PlayStation 3, but you just can't use it while you're playing games, and you can, as far as I'm aware, you can use that to chat with people on PS4. And
Yeah.
it's the same goes with the PS Vita as well. That has a party that you can chat across with. So
There really is no reason you can't, because both of them are same architecture, and you know what I mean. It's not really.
yeah.
So PlayStation Plus cloud saves can be transferred manually to PS Now and vice versa using the save data management functionality on the PS5. Okay, this one is just says wish list, so I guess you can have a wish list like Steam. What games you want?
Finally, I've been waiting.
Yeah, you can have parties up to 100 people now. If you couldn't before, but I don't know.
Why? Who's gonna use that?
Probably like streamers or something.
Jeff Keighley? I don't know.
You can share video clips, albums, artists, playlists, and tracks. You can initiate something called a takedown, but it doesn't clarify what that means. You can change your party names and images, and then the PS Store now the games on the PS Store will show what. Let me reword that. PS Store will show what games are on PS Plus, PS Now, and the PS Plus collection. So it'll clarify that if that game's on, like the game can be on the store, and it will say where it's currently located, if it's on sale or whatever, or if it's on PS Now, so you don't have to buy it. That's pretty cool. So that's pretty much it. So we'll probably get more answers on Sunday because YouTube Gaming a Week in Japan, they're giving the PS5 to Japanese YouTube creators, and it says on October 4th at 6 p.m. Japanese time, which is 5 a.m. here. Apparently they're gonna be able to upload their what they've done on PS5 on their channels. So that might be our first time we've seen the UI and everything on the PS5.
Have they shown the? Yeah, they've shown the UI for Series X because they sent that out.
Yes, this week. Yeah, everybody. Yep.
Yeah.
So we'll probably next week one of the main topics is going to be all about the PS5 and how it looks and everything because we're probably going to see the whole thing starting Sunday. I hope so, but no excuse. I mean, we're like 5 weeks away or 6 weeks away, so this is really late.
I think this has really been sort of happening the past couple of years, but Sony is definitely banking on their like customer loyalty in terms for their marketing. Like they don't have to put as strong emphasis to consistent quantity of marketing because they know that they've got the player base that'll just buy the games irrelevant of mostly.
Which is concerning because that's very Sony 06.
Yeah, like it could easily backfire on them.
Yeah, I think Jim Ryan's really got to learn to be more transparent, and I know he's a cutthroat businessman, and that's why they like him. But he's had a reputation of being like that, and you rub people the wrong way.
At the end of the day, a cutthroat businessman is a cutthroat businessman, and I think the adjective cutthroat isn't exactly the most calming of terms.
Well, I mean, it's good for business, but at the same time, like making like the All-Star, like making that like Destruction All-Star game $70 is a good example of like, you know what I mean, of being like out of touch too, because like I said, Xbox is dominating all the good PR right now, and everything Sony's done in the last 2 months has been pretty negative outside the console reveal. So they gotta clean that up because there's times when PlayStation you get no news for like months, like absolutely nothing, and they don't even give you like an update, like, oh, we're gonna do this. You know what I mean? They just silence.
But then again, as to my point earlier, it's like they can go, months without anything, like without a peep, and then they'd upload, like.
It doesn't matter.
And the internet would explode.
Oh, of course. They know. Yeah. But you can't rely on that. Is all I'm saying. You got to be a little more better with your PR. All right, so 2 more topics. This one is about Spider-Man. So Miles Morales, you can transfer from PS4 to PS5 your save. So, but you still can't trade. You still can't transfer your Spidey PS4 to the Spidey PS5 version of PS4. That makes sense. Yeah. So but the big story really was the Spider-Man PS4 remaster. They finally revealed like what it looked like, the gameplay, and like they showed a cutscene with a new face of Peter Parker, which
he's got a new face,
which caused a lot of caused
like Tom Holland. Looks like he just got out of high school.
Which caused a civil war in the comments because everybody's like boycotting and flipping out.
I get it, civil war. I get it.
Yeah, so that's where we're heading.
I'll
start with this
I'm
one.
ready to fight about it.
I'll start with this one. I think people are being very whiny about this one. Like I can understand not
Yeah.
liking it. That's fine. But people like boycotting and saying not my Spider-Man and like hoping the game bombs and like
Some people are like, I'm
They're like-
not buying the remaster.
they're
I'm
disowning-
like, okay, but like,
yeah, they're like-
don't.
they want to they're
Whatever.
disowning Insomniac now. Like Insomniac's like a greedy bastard. They
Hey,
want
man, you want to talk about cutthroat? Talk about gamers.
Oh, gamers are very. Look, I'm opinionated, but gamers are a whiny bunch. There's a difference between not liking something and then like going out of your way in every comment section of a post and spamming the post of of whining.
I
Anyway,
hate when people do that.
like Last of
Like,
Us.
I think yeah.
Like, it's not that bad. It's one of those things where it's like, it's a jarring change at first. Nobody saw it coming. It just sort of came out
Yeah.
of nowhere.
True.
But it'll grow on you. It'll grow on like you'll get used to it. And like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've gotten used to it.
I don't like it. I don't think it looks that great, but I like whatever. I'll get used to it. Like James is saying, like I'm still not a fan of it. I still don't care for it, but you know, it's if they are so sure that this is going to help the game, that I mean, I entrust Insomniac with their own games. They are generally one of the good game companies out there.
Yeah.
They're kind of in this weird industry position where they're kind of like the Rush of video games. Like everybody knows who they are, but they're still kind of unknown or kind of considered indie in some circles. At least it's still like a weird place to be in, but it's they generally do right by their games. And so it's tough for me to criticize them too harshly because I do trust them.
Just to be clear why they made the change, they said in order to bring the best performances to players with our next generation Marvel Spider-Man games, we have recast the face of Peter Parker. We loved working with John Bobniak on the original game. However, to get a better match to Peter Parker Spider-Man actor Yuri Lorenthal's facial capture, we have cast Ben Jordan to be the face model for Peter Parker on the PS5 console. He looks incredible in game, and Yuri's moving performances take on a new life. But the thing is, like, he doesn't even look like Yuri at all. So it kind of looks.
The thing is, though, it's the facial.
It is.
structure.
I get that, but it's just.
Structure, which I get. Well,
Yeah.
I get that. Like, I get that explanation somewhat. That's fine. But what I don't get is that, like, because they say like, oh, it's better capture, you know, Yuri's facial movement. But you look at the trailer and you just like you look at the two side by side, and the PS4 model is 100 times more expressive.
Mm.
And it's like I get the fact that they're still working on it and all that, but it's like it's less than 2 months. Like it's basically a month out, and so I doubt they can change a lot.
Well, the thing is, it's growing on me already. But like there's one comparison out there. There's one comparison image that really sold me on it with a lot of really good lighting.
Yeah.
Where like the lighting is so much more dynamic on the new face,
Yeah.
and it
I agree.
looks so much more realistic.
That's the thing,
It looks so
though.
much more believable.
Yeah, that's the thing. It looks better. The PS5 version looks better in images, but Mitch is right, and that cutscene that they showed, he wasn't really expressive. Like he was, like the PS4 version did look better in terms of the expressions for sure. I don't know if it's just an early build or I don't know if that's the final version. I would think it's the final version, but I need to see more. I can't really say until.
Well, actually, James Stevenson, the community director over at Insomniac, he said on Twitter that in regards to the ray tracing, I imagine it's probably a similar story with the face, but with the ray tracing, he said that they were like quite an older set of photos, and it looks a lot better now than even those photos.
But
so I don't know, but like,
why not show that?
Huh?
If it's that we're so close to the launch, why didn't they just show that?
I've got no idea, but yeah, I mean, my main criticism is that like this Spider-Man, he's supposed to be 7 years on the job, but you know, this new face, he just looks like he got out of daycare. You know, like, it doesn't look like he's been 7 years on the job.
Right.
So that's my only criticism, though.
I agree. That's my
I know why they made the change, right? Because it's going forward, if they want to push this as a franchise, because they are definitely working on Spider-Man 2, and he probably appears in Miles Morales. If they if they're pushing forward and they want to use this in the future, that face that they had before, you're not going to make that look as good. You're not going to make that look like a PS5 face, you know?
Yeah, right.
No.
I mean,
I think.
go ahead,
I
Mitch.
think, sorry, I was going to say, I don't have a problem with, how old he looks. Like, I can buy him more as a 23-year-old than, the previous model. But I think, and a few people have sort of mentioned it on Twitter, but it's like, if you compare him to, like, the rest of the car, like, like what, 15-year-old Miles looks just as old, if not older. And then you've got MJ, and you've got Black Pat, and you've got all these other characters that are, around Peter's age, and they look older than him.
I think, Mitch, you look older than him. You're 17.
Yeah. Well,
So that says something.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
I think
like,
the trouble too is that it's so hard to figure out like who looks how old at what age. Like,
Of course.
I still get people telling me like I'm in my lower 20s or even
Me too.
younger.
I get
a couple
carded.
times,
I still get
and,
carded
like,
everywhere,
I'm
though.
29 at this point.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
27. I always
so-
get carded. So I can't really judge.
Yeah, so it's just age and faces. It's just such a difficult thing. I agree that he looks barely, if not the same age as Miles at this point. I liked his design before. I thought it was great. I thought it was an interesting mashup of different characters or actors or whatever. I thought that mashup idea was better than just making him vaguely look like Tom Holland. That just, I don't know. It just frustrates me because not everything has to look vaguely like the MCU.
That's my other thing is like at first I did think he looked quite a lot like Tom Holland, and I don't like Tom Holland, so that annoyed me quite a bit. But,
well, I mean, you can
what's
be
wrong
wrong
with Tom
about
Holland?
things, James.
Okay.
What's wrong with
But
Tom Holland?
yeah, Seb, in regards to getting carded, I'm 21 and I don't get carded, so just grow a beard.
You look older than me. Oh, I can't.
It works,
That's because I can't.
Oh, you can't? Okay. Well, that's,
I mean, I
that's-
can, but it doesn't look great on me. So.
Okay.
I feel like a baby with.
Well, we can't all be blessed. So.
Fun story. I actually woke up, and the first thing, like, I woke up halfway, and I saw the new model, and I just thought it was like, like a joke teeth fake or something. So for like half an hour, like, I put the phone down for like half an hour, and I'm like, okay, someone put out a meme or whatever, keep faking Tom Holland onto the new Spider. But I opened up Twitter again, and I found out that it was real, and I'm like, oh. Like, I mean, I'm more, lenient on it now, but I think, especially like first impressions were not good.
No,
Like, that, like,
yeah.
like, I mean, it was jarring for sure, and that's probably why, and such, why a lot of people had, like, kickback to it.
Yeah.
But, like, yeah, I think it's a mixture of it being jarring, looking like the MCU, which I think, not everything has to be like the MCU. That's why I appreciate Marvel's Avengers so much, because it's not like the MCU in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But, yeah,
I think I like even the new actor doesn't look like Tom Holland as much. It's the character that looks more like Tom Holland than the actual actor, which is kind of strange. But
Probably the haircut.
yeah, but I think everything.
I did find it very funny when Yuri tweeted out kind of a joke apology. He's like, "I'm sorry, it's my bones. I can't help it. I'm so sorry."
Yeah.
No, I think the best tweet from Yuri was when he tweeted out something like, "I hope you guys are just as passionate about the upcoming election than you are about some video game characters' face."
Amen.
Like, yeah.
But I do think the new character looks better in every way except for the expressions. That's my only problem with it.
Yeah, graphically he looks incredible, but I think in terms of animations, he looks like he could be like, a really damn good PS3 model in terms of facial animations.
Right.
And like, I can imagine not liking the change, because everyone, like, it's sort of human nature to be resistant to change like that. But like, I don't get mad about it. Why? I don't understand getting so pissed off about something so small. I mean, the PS4 version's still there, right?
Some people have been, sort of white-knighting it for the actor John Bubniak, because, apparently some of his replies to posts or whatever after the reveal kind of definitely gave off the vibe that he had no idea, and that he wasn't, too pleased with it himself. But it's like, he was still it in the most professional way he could. So you have, this band of, you have this community that's, some are just outright hating it because it's different and, they're being stupid about it. And then you have people, sort of crusading for John Bubniak to, get his back, I guess, even though, which, I mean, is fair. Like, I totally get being behind an act. Like, there's times where it's like, I can tell you don't really, you're not that passionate, you don't really have it for, like, John Bubniak and whatnot as much, disguising it to go against Insomniac.
But the thing is, like, I'm pretty sure this guy's not on a salary, right? Like, I'm pretty sure it's a one-time gig, because Yuri Lowenthal still does all the motion capture. They just use the model face. They have him in one time, do the scan, and then, here's your paycheck, you're on your way. So, I mean, it's not like the other guy. The only thing the other guy is losing out on, really, is being the face of the future games.
That's the thing. It's like, I think the big reason why it's so jarring is that you have, this monumentally huge first installment in the series only to, like, change the facial. Like it's like if, in between Doctor Who seasons, they just changed the actors, yet didn't have a regeneration story or anything. They just opened up a new series, like, yep. It's like, it's still
what you're saying is they should add a scene in the start of the new Spider-Man where he walks into a wardrobe and comes out as the new face.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically. There's a bunch of yellow lighting coming out of his...
Alright, so that pretty much wraps it up. So this is the first night of spoopy season. So you guys all have a good night. So, take care, guys. Peace.
Peace.
What's up, PlayStation fans? Thank you for watching the PS Premiere podcast. We upload every Saturday at 1:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you like what you heard, click the like button and subscribe.